Tap dancing has dazzled the stages of America for almost a century. Duos like Shirley Temple and Bilbo Jangles Robinson helped bridge racial tensions in the beginning of the 20th century.
Tap in the last 50 years in the United States, as it started out kind of as a people picking stuff up off the street and touring with the booking agents. They'd tour all around and pick up steps from different cities. So we have steps called the Cincinnati, the Buffalo, and it's like, hey, do that step you learned in Cincinnati, kind of thing,
Cathy and her sister Ellen Keane are a major part of the tap scene in Minneapolis and own the studio Keane Sense of Rhythm.
We had a youth tap ensemble that's non-competitive, and they just learn how to be musicians and dance with live music and dance on stage a lot and not in a competitive environment.
Today, the tap culture in Minneapolis is everywhere, but it wasn't always a presence in the city.
When I first got turned on to tap, there wasn't a big tap scene here, so it's been my goal to create a community that I wanted to be in, and so we've been doing that.
The tap scene in the Twin Cities is even developing its own set of values and its own sense of style.
The tap dancers in town right now, it is a strong value that they have live music and incorporate live music and aren't just dancing choreography to recorded music. And that's a value that I think is not just a Minneapolis one, but a strong Minneapolis one.
The Keane sisters have danced with tap legends like Savion Glover and Gregory Hines. Their strong bond and playful humor shows on and off the stage.
The dancing itself is just such a joy to be able to share. So, when I get to look in her eyes and, we get to mess around on stage, it's the best.
It's the best.
And when I fall down, does she help me up?
My laugh.
Keane Sense of Rhythm has paved the way for tappers, musicians, and children in Minnesota, teaching everything from the most basic steps.
When I say step, I always mean put one foot down, put your weight on it, and take your weight off the other foot. It doesn't have to leave the floor, but I have to see a physical weight change.
To complex patterns and rhythms.
I like things that will set up a rhythm and then you go blah, 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 into it.
With deep roots in African and Irish dance, tap was popularized by the jazz community in the 1920s and 30s.
If there's no other way to teach, call and response always works. You don't even have to know the same language. So that's an African value that came over that is in American jazz music, it's in tap dancing, it's in the blues.
And it teaches dancers to find their own voice. So if I'm like do da dee da 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 da,
Ba-da, ba-da, da, da, hey.
which will be a different answer than somebody else's answer.
As the tap culture gains momentum and support in the Twin Cities, more dancers are finding their voice with the soles of their shoes. Allison Henderson, University Report.